Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Magic and Miracles 2, where we discuss entrepreneurship, psychology, how to succeed in business, how to create a brand. Hello, my name is Anna, and I've been a coach for 10 years total, 3 years on YouTube now, and 7 years before that outside YouTube, coaching all sorts of people of all walks of life, primarily in the entertainment business, as well as entrepreneurs, businessmen, and women alike. I've created my original channel called Magic and Miracles 3 years ago, and it developed into this situation where now we discuss all things SPs over there and all things entrepreneurial over here in order to separate the two subjects. But essentially, I created the signature coaching program for any specific topic that you would like me to coach you in. I do not coach just in SPs, but of course, career and business, entrepreneurial, and many different other things that you would like to explore and upgrade your life to the quantum leap that you deserve. Whatever it is you're working on, you can reach out to me. The way that I operate is the first session is mandatory before entering full time in my coaching. And I do recommend 2 to 3 months in coaching with me in the signature coaching package where we rendezvous 3 times per week. Sometimes I downgrade that on month 2 or on month 3, depending on what the client and I agree is needed. But there are other packages on my website. The links are below. If you have any questions before booking, please don't hesitate to reach out. So we're going to talk a little bit about what advice would I give to coaches or just people who create content, any kind of channel. I don't think it truly matters what it is you're covering on your channel, but just for content creators, the way to stand out and all that jazz, which everybody wants to stand out. And in the meantime, they're too busy copying each other and mimicking each other as if there are some preset rules which everybody needs to follow. There aren't. Whenever people come into my coaching, and I've coached coaches, therapists as well. I've coached many different entrepreneurs, as I've mentioned. They always ask me, how is it that your original channel, Magic and Miracles, which I've mentioned, because this channel right here is, it is not, it's a few months old, actually, now that I think about it. And they always ask me, why do you think that your channel is different from other channels? It's very unique. It's very one of a kind. What is it that you do that other people don't? And my channel, the original channel, is not the biggest of channels. And of course, I have big plans for my own channel. But here's what I, always answer. And here's what I always suggest and tell what worked for me. Okay, when I started my channel, Magic and Miracles, the last thing on my mind, the absolute last thing on my mind was, how am I going to stand out? Okay, I think people pose the wrong question entirely. I think the question should be, what am I inspired to create? What can I definitely talk about that I know, first of all? And how can I do it in a way that's entertaining to me? This is the main dish, ladies and gentlemen. It is not about pleasing another. And some people might get upset or whatever, triggered. You know what? If it triggers you to hear the truth, maybe you shouldn't. But here's the truth. It doesn't matter what other people want you to do. They themselves don't know what they want you to do. It's your job to tell your audience what's up. And for this to work, you yourself have to be engaged in what it is you're talking about and what it is you're making. So much so, you quite frankly don't give a shit what anybody else thinks because you're enjoying it so much, and therefore other people will too. Now, if you're simply showing up and mimicking somebody else, what somebody else is doing, it's empty. It's totally empty. There's no soul in it. There's no thought went into it, certainly. There's no artistry. This is very short-lived. It will be over tomorrow, tossed in the garbage with all the other fucking copycat wannabes. All right? If you're looking for a long-term kind of like to evolve into another stage and yet another stage content, you really just have to ask yourself, the only question you really need to ask yourself is, what would I want to talk about? What do I want to create? And how can I do it in a way that fulfills me? Okay. So I'm not saying that you will not make adjustments down the road. Again, everybody should evolve. Everybody should try different things. Everybody should experiment. And you should. You should not be afraid to experiment as long as you're expressing yourself. Again, you're the artist, you're the creator. As far as you're concerned, you're the one who's telling their audience what they want to say to their audience. It should never be the other way around. It's as if, it's the same as an actor coming on stage in a theater production and starting to ask the audience that's sitting and waiting for you to perform something for them. Hey, everybody, what do you guys want me to perform? It's very silly. You haven't done the homework. You haven't prepared yourself. You don't have an ounce of confidence. What the fuck are you doing on stage? Kind of situation. So the idea is to be excited about something, to be really, genuinely, authentically passionate about a topic that you literally would discuss if nobody was listening. Okay, it's kind of like Bashar reminds me right now. Bashar says, Dari Lanka, who channels Bashar. Bashar says, I would do this if nobody would be listening. I would be doing this if one person was listening. Okay, so this is the sentiment. And this is the sentiment with which I went in to creating the channel. And, again, what are your goals? What are your goals? To educate people? Are your goals to create a large following? What are the goals? My goal personally, when I created Magic and Miracles, was to touch as many people as possible and to coach people. In fact, I was asked to coach people. I wasn't originally going to coach people on YouTube. But you know what? People kept asking, and I said, all right, well, I guess this is the direction I'm going in. And that's fine by me. So I needed to make some adjustments to the way that I coached people on YouTube. Is very different than the way that I coach people off of YouTube. Okay, very, very different structure. So I needed to tweak some things in order for this to become manageable. So obviously you're going to adjust as to how the audience responds and what they want you to do more of, or maybe what they don't want you to do. All right. I, for a long time, again, since I'm speaking from my own experience, recorded audios and still do, as you can see, because this is my forte. This is how I channel best. All right. When I write my messages for my, again, original channel, Magic and Miracles, my weekly live messages, I collect notes throughout the week. And, and sometimes I record certain parts of it because sometimes I'm in the middle of something and I can't quite, write it down as fast as I can speak it. And so I prepare myself. But for a long time on that channel, I would record audios, and I still do. And in fact, I created what's called a book club now for the new material that's going to go into my book. But that was my authentic way to deliver my content, is my point. And nobody does this. name a creator who was solely into audios on their channel other than myself. I don't think it exists. I think what exists is, maybe it's somewhat similar where, people have some kind of, I don't know, AI talking and there's imagery on the screen, but a creator that channels messages with an audio and consistently comes up, I don't see this readily available, not to this capacity. So by following my own authenticity, I stood out because that didn't exist and doesn't exist. All right. So just by being true to myself without even trying, without bothering to please anybody. Okay, it doesn't mean I'm going to turn into some kind of a rude person or whatever, that I'm not interested. Obviously, the only reason I showed up was on YouTube is because I wanted to help people, but I'm going to do it in my way. I'm going to be of use in the best way in my authentic form. And what a lot of people are doing is they're doing it the other way around. They're trying to be helpful, but they completely distorting their authentic nature or not even investing in it, not like bothering to find out what that even is. And they're trying to take somebody else's recipe and plaster it on their own practice. It will never work in a million fucking years. Again, it will be extraordinarily short-lived. And again, I'm assuming that you're in this for the long term, and you should be. And that's the next thing. Coupled with the authenticity, your mindset should be, I'm doing this for the long term, for the long run. So there's no fucking quitting. There's no discouragement in that sense. It's always an evolution. Okay, it's ups and downs, it's all around. But the idea is, if you have the guiding light of your authenticity and how you want to do things, with some tweakings along the way, you're in good shape because you're in touch with your authenticity. You're not lost in the crowd of wannabes. You're not lost in the crowd of people who, I'm sorry, but are so insecure that they depend on other people's opinions. When you completely disregard other people's opinions as far as your creative genius goes, and you say, well, yeah, I mean, somebody can say, well, you should do more shorts, or you should discuss this topic, but how I'm going to do it is entirely my fucking thing. I'm not going to be completely tone deaf and disregard my audience. I mean, if it's shorts, it's shorts. All right. That's the thing that, works fine, whatever. That's how people consume information. But how I'm going to do it, what I'm going to talk about, how I'm going to talk about it, I'm going to make it my own. Because believe me, darling loves, people really, really want to see you. They don't want to see another face who's trying to be like another face. It's so fucking boring. I cannot tell. I check out some things on social media in my spare time, and everybody just blends in. It's so rare to see somebody who actually has put in the work and understands what I'm telling you here. Just stick with it for the long term. And in this case, the only way to go is to completely be in touch with your authentic light, in that sense, how you want to do things and what you want to do. And somebody who has put in the research, who invested in themselves. It's not enough to like read a couple of books and take a couple of courses and then show up on the scene. Like, what have you done with your life that's authentic, that you could talk about from experience? Please, like, I'm not discounting the fact that somebody, anybody starts somewhere. Somebody always starts somewhere, and anybody, can start today. But are you doing the work in the progress, or are you just enjoying the fact that the camera is, on and it's recording just for the pure kind of like attention, as it were? It's not about that. You need to earn that attention. And again, not by trying to please, but to actually, excuse me, realizing that it's not what you think you should be doing when you're pleasing, quote unquote, the audience. It's what the audience came to see that is authentic and of value and is truly yours. But if you do not know who you really are, and if you haven't done the research, you haven't invested in yourself, you haven't made a good enough representation of who you really are, how in the world is this going to work? If you can, in all honesty, sit down and say, yes, this work 100%, whatever it is, the product that I'm working on, the content, the self-expression that I'm working on is 100% represents me in the most perfect, authentic way in this moment in time, then you've done your job for today. And quite frankly, who gives a shit what anybody else thinks? You think you've done a good job? In all honesty, congratulate yourself. Wonderful news. But if you don't, and you just kind of think that you're doing what people want you to do, that's not what they want you to do. Write it down, underline it 300 million times. They don't know what they want you to do. Only you should know what they want you to do, and what they want you to do is to be you, 100% you. Surprise them. Maybe even shock them. Whatever you do, be truthful and be authentic. To me, when you're trying to be like somebody else, you're in fact lying to your audience. You're a complete fraud and a liar. You're trying to be like somebody else equals, number one, I know you're insecure, you're not confident, you haven't done the research. You want to be like somebody else, you have nothing to say of your own. Why the fuck would I pay attention to you? So boring. When you really kind of bring this down to earth, it really becomes so simple, does it not? Just focus on the shit that you really want to create. And that might change your mind about the things that you actually were thinking of putting out. And that's a mistake a lot of people make. They see it work for somebody else in the way that they do it, and they think that the same will apply to them. It will never. Just, you can forget that shit. Okay? Like right here, right now. I love this movie, and this just came to mind. Amadeus, about Mozart. And I mean, I think the story is actually fictitious, that they were rivals, Salieri and Mozart. But we'll just go with the fictitious story for, the time being. And in the movie, it's very well depicted how Salieri was trying very hard, forcing a hit out of himself, a composition that would blow the king's mind and make him really famous and adored, loved and adored. And here comes Mozart, totally in tune with himself, totally completely all about his music, very confident in it because he spent time on it. Yes, he was a child prodigy, playing rooms since age 4, etc., but he's done the work. And he had this connection with the higher self, with the universe, that gave him all of these ideas, which is why everything was note perfect, as if he was taking dictation from God, you could say. And to him, it was completely effortless because he didn't fucking bother about, becoming famous or doing this, that, and the other. All he gave a shit about was producing his music exactly the way that he wanted it to produce and to pay his bills, of course. So Salieri, depicted in this movie, the way that it's presented to us, was very jealous, was very kind of inauthentic, was trying to do these things for the wrong reason. And Mozart was just having a good old jolly time. There you go. And this is why he's the greatest composer of all time and space. And after all this time, we're still talking about him, and we're still listening to his music like it's the music for the kings, essentially. This is the kind of longevity I'm talking about. This is the kind of mindset I personally have for my own projects. And I believe that if you want to achieve great success, the only way to go is to follow the yellow brick road of your authenticity. There's nothing else left for you to do. Everybody else is taken. There's nobody else that you can be. I believe that's a quote from Carl Jung. I may be mistaken, maybe. Or is it Oscar Wilde? It's one of those two. Be yourself. Everybody else is already taken. As simplistic as this sounds, ladies and gentlemen, I'm giving you what I would have loved to received when I was in my early 20s. Just be yourself. Just do what you can do the best. It's within you. It's within your heart. It's coded into your being. It will transform your life if you just trust that the way that you want to do things is going to take you down a path of success that you have yet to even imagine. That you have to put in the work. Again, you have to show up, you have to work hard, etc. But the yellow brick road, the recipe, the so-called recipe for success, it's coded within you. It's within your DNA. It's what you naturally gravitate towards. It's how you actually, it speaks within you. It speaks to you. This intuition, you have it. Just follow it. There's no need to look at what anybody else is doing. Just also understand, what are your goals? Are you there to be the influencer? Are you there to sell a product? Are you there to do whatever? Again, my personal focus with Magic and Miracles starting out was just to express some ideas, and those ideas resonated. And again, I've been asked to coach. But once I was coaching, I realized, you know what? Yeah, I could see myself doing this long term on YouTube, okay, in one capacity or another. And with 500 subscribers, so my goal was not subscribers at that moment, or, it's not my focus. It never was, it never will be. My focus is to touch as many people as possible. And with 500 subscribers at that moment, 3 years ago, I was fully booked. I actually was so busy. I remember precisely, I had to kind of like reassess my schedule so that it can, accommodate more people, until I started kind of doing, taking steps towards limiting the amount of clients I can have per month, because the demand was overwhelming, is what I wanted to say. So I did this with 500 subscribers just by being myself. So it isn't about the subscribers. It's, again, about the intention. What intention are you putting out there? When you're creating this content, have a precise intent. The intention should never be, I want to get fucking famous. That's so stupid, I can't even tell you right now. The intention should be, I want to be of value. And so how can I be of value to the world? But then, since I'm being of value, what are my personal business goals, my personal entrepreneurial goals with this project, with this product, with this whatever it is that I'm doing? Your personal satisfaction is really important. And if you don't have a goal, if you don't have a money goal, or if you don't have the goal, that the return on your investment in this project, if you don't have that, if you can't fulfill that, or if you're not focused on that, you will not be as fulfilled, chances are. And so again, the goal should not be how many likes I'm getting, how many views. Yes, certainly that's nice, and you should get it. But you should start out with the mindset of the likes and the subscribers and all of that jazz that will come. Am I true to who I am? Am I true to how I want to do things? Am I really in touch? Does this really excite me? Is this interesting to me? Or am I purely doing this for the money? Which is catastrophic, parenthesis here. That is disaster. I mean, if you're just doing something for money, wow, that's going to be a really miserable road. I'm just going to tell you this to you right now. How I know this is from my personal experience. When I was modeling for 10 years. And I fell out of love with modeling, like a long, like maybe 2, 3, 4 years maximum into doing that. The rest of the time, I quite frankly just endured it because of money. So never do things for money alone. Bottom line is, if you're really passionate, you don't have to say, "Oh, I'm so passionate." It shows. It shows. It shows how you show up in the world. It shows how you talk about things. It shows in the way you talk about things. It shows what you choose to say, how you choose to behave in the world, how you choose to treat people. It shows all of this, the amalgamation. And people, this is the last thing I'm going to say in this audio, but because there could be many, but the last thing is that I feel like because everybody looks the same, I really feel like some content creators underestimate the intelligence of the viewer. I really do. I really think that they don't understand how intelligent the audience out there really is. People are really smart. Okay. They pick up on the fact that you don't know what you're talking about really quickly. They pick up on your energy. They pick up on whatever. Okay. They also notice if you're completely authentic. They also notice that you put in the work. They also notice that you know what the fuck you're talking about. It's impossible to lie to the audience. They're very, especially today, very fucking intelligent. Very, I mean, blown away. Really impressed, with my journey on YouTube. So keep that in mind when you're showing up with this energy, perhaps of, I don't know, some kind of like lukewarm passion, and you call yourself passionate, or you basically mimicking somebody else and you're saying you're passionate, or you trying to sell some bullshit that you're not passionate about at all. It shows. People read that energy. Why would you waste your time so nonsensically doing something in a way that doesn't speak to you? If it doesn't speak to you, understand that it's not going to speak to anybody else. It's as simple like that. Really. If it doesn't move any emotion within you, understand it's not going to move any emotion within anybody else. And likewise, in contrast with, if you're satisfied with that piece of product, even if it doesn't receive the acclaim immediately, okay, it will in the long run. It absolutely will. Maybe if people don't notice it right away because of what the work and the effort and the real authentic passion that went into it, people will appreciate it down the line and be like, "Oh yeah, that's one of the best things that you've created." Even though in the beginning, again, it wasn't obvious, but again, I'm assuming that you're in this for the long term. So again, it's an investment in your own legacy, in your own business, in your own life. Every single thing that you create, just make sure it's authentic, make sure you take your time, make sure you really believe in it, and just consider it as a building block of your empire. What have you got to lose? Everything to gain. You're just sourcing inspiration directly from the universe and putting it into your empire. And at some point, it will just blow up completely. But you're not waiting for that, you see. You're having fun along the way, getting all the goodies, all the while tweaking around your journey to your preference. And nobody has the rule book for this. Only your intuition and only your inspiration has that. Only the universe can guide you in your specific, authentic, custom made way that will, quite frankly, create an amazing success for you with anything you do. So don't try to follow somebody's example. Don't try to follow it at all. Yes, certain pieces like, that you can emulate, not copy, emulate somebody in the sense that, well, that really inspires me when somebody does that. And, for instance, I'll give my own example really quick. I'm really inspired by Joel Osteen. I think his spirit is amazing. I think he's so resilient, and he's been through a lot of kind of like controversy and this and that. A lot of people have, they're really fantastic and great. And yet he's so resilient, and his energy, quite frankly, it speaks volumes. Just his smile alone just comes across really authentic. And I know some people don't like him, but To me, he comes across as somebody completely genuine and somebody completely fantastic. And this is why, everything completely continues to flourish around. Doesn't matter what the haters say, doesn't matter what the haters think. Who gives a shit? That's the strong belief within your power that you're showing up and you're being that person who you exactly want to be. So emulating some people that you really admire, but making the contribution to the society of exactly what you want to do is the way to go. Making this journey completely authentically your own. And this is the only way to stand out. There's no other way. You can scream loud enough. You know what I mean? You can be shock value enough. All of that is so cheap, so pedestrian, so trashy. If you're really in this for the long run, then you know the value of authenticity and you're not in a rush to prove to everybody what a superstar you are. Because chances are you've worked on yourself and you know exactly who you are and you don't feel the need to prove anything to anybody. And that's the kind of magnetism that attracts all the connections, all the people, whatever kind of intentions you have in your business, etc., etc., etc. Just casually and shamelessly dancing to your own tune. Thank you very much for listening. All the information from me is below. Until next time, ciao, ciao.